Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a drama from Denmark, Danish language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Susan Beer, and this film is called A Second Chance. So A Second Chance starts off with two police officers. They are called to the home of a well-known ex-criminal who's also a drug addict. He's got a drug addict girlfriend, and basically there's a disturbance. So the police officers get to the home, and to their horror, they uncover a baby that is lying on the floor that is covered in its own feces and urine. So this baby ends up being the actual child of this drug addict couple, and it appears that they haven't been neglecting this baby. So the police officer takes the baby to the hospital with the intention of giving it a new home, but to his horror, the doctors can't find any evidence of abuse. Basically, it's in very good health, and the fact that it was covered in its own feces is not enough to really take it away. So this angers the police officer because he's got a child of the same age, and he believes that if this particular child goes back to the home that it was in, it's not going to last much longer. So he goes back, he gives the baby back, and he starts to fight his inner demons. He wants to do the right thing, but he just has to sit and actually just watch what's going on. So there is an event that takes place halfway through the film that forces this policeman to make a decision that is going to change the shape, the shape of the lives of everybody involved, and ultimately put to the test everything that has made this police officer the person that he is. So what that is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on A Second Chance. This is an absolute gut punch of a film. It's one of the most emotional films that I have come across, and I can't be surprised because Susan Beer is an absolutely phenomenal director, but I feel that A Second Chance is by far her best film. Now, there are a lot of elements that combine together to make this movie as memorable as it is. It's not a masterpiece, but it is very close to being one, and it's just a showcase of how good Scandinavian cinema is, especially recently. So to start off with, this is a movie about very good people making decisions with good intentions, but those decisions having a domino effect in the worst possible way. Basically, every decision that is made in this film has grave consequences, and it's basically just like a hopeless train wreck, and it's a side of life that Susan Beer really does depict in her films very well. It's a side of life that the majority of us want to turn a blind eye to. We always like to see films with fairy tale endings. We like to see romantic comedies where the guy always gets the girl in the end. But then Susan Beer shows you a side where fairy tales don't always happen, and that situations can ruin good people, and that's what makes it so tragic. And that's exactly what made A Second Chance so tragic, is that you've got these incredible characters who are put into these awful situations, and they are a victim of circumstances. All these characters, bar one, the drug addict character was a very sadistic man, but the rest of them you could all sense were very good people, but they were dealing with problems in their personal lives that prevented them from being the people that they were capable of being. So there's always something that you feel is holding a character back, all except this main character, who seemed to have it all. He had a child of his own, he had his wife that was beautiful, he had a beautiful home, but then there's a decision that he makes halfway through the film where everything seems to be against him. So it really does change the tide of the film, and you feel that everybody just has that demon behind them, tapping them on the shoulder at every turn. So the cinematography was brilliant. I mean, it was a very disturbing film without showing you anything graphic. It was all about the atmosphere, it was all about the environment, it was all about the themes that the film depicts. So it is a very provocative film, but it's done in a way where it's very subtle. It feels like the director isn't trying to be provocative for the sake of being provocative. Her provocation comes from the very solid build-up the film has, and it is themes that are depicted in reality. They're common problems in society, so it feels like she's not going out of the boundaries just for a simple cheap trick. So the acting was brilliant. Coster-Waldau, he is from Game of Thrones. He's a fantastic Danish actor. He had the most to play with. He was the main character of this policeman, a loving father, a loving husband. But then, when things start going bad, you feel so much sympathy for his situation, and you feel that he is starting to unravel as a person. You've got his partner, played by Ulrik Thomsen, another fantastic actor. He played a very good person once again, but he reverted to a lot of things to help him cope with his problems. And then you've got a great performance from Nikolai Likaus, who played the drug addict. Now, he was an evil man. He was the only man without a shred of decency, but it really symbolised that your abuse, this drug addict's abuse of his girlfriend had a domino effect on the baby. So the baby was the one that hadn't done anything wrong in the eyes of the drug addict husband or boyfriend, but it was the baby that was ultimately suffering. And it's just this policeman who couldn't do anything about it. And then, as I said, it's just a situation that gets way out of hand, and you feel that it's just a train wreck of a film. Just you're bracing for impact. You hope that the impact isn't going to be too catastrophic, but you can't help but feel that the situation is going to end fairly ghastly. The script was phenomenal. Anders Thomas Jensen is a fantastic screenwriter. He's not only a fantastic director, but he really does flesh out the characters well. And that's ultimately why the film works so well, is that each and every character have characteristics of their own, and they separate themselves from each other. So you feel that, okay, this person has likable qualities, that person has likable qualities, but although they are good people, they still have their own sort of ways about them. They separate themselves, they've got their own personalities, and that is why you can connect to them, because they actually feel like real people. So there's not a lot to dislike about this film. As I said, it is an extreme film without showing you anything graphic. It's all about the environment, it's all about the situation and how hopelessly out of control it's getting, and basically showing you that good intentions don't always result in good things. My only problem with the film is the problem I have with a lot of Susan Bier films, and that is the ending. I think that the movie has a certain mood to it where you feel it's very, very dreaded. You feel like it's taking risks. You feel like it's showing you the ugliness of humanity. But right at the end of the films, I think they're a little bit of a cop-out. It just feels like it doesn't connect very well. So although you've seen a very good film, the ending makes it as though you've seen a 99% very good film, and then that right at the end it fails to put the icing on the cake. And that's where I think a lot of Susan Bier films really fall short, and that's the only problem I have with her direction, is that the endings, they feel like, okay, I've played it very risky, and then at the end I'm just going to play it a little bit safe. And that to me just feels like a slight contradiction to the rest of the films. But having said that, it is still nothing to warrant it to be not a recommended film. This is absolutely brilliant, but it just missed that little tiny thing at the end to make it a masterpiece. But having said that, it is still coming, highly recommended, especially if you're a fan of Scandinavian cinema, and I'm going to give a second chance 4.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. So next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.